Last time we finished chapter number 2, how your habits shape your identity and vice versa. We covered a lot of groundwork, very important work. We talked about the three types of changes. He called them layers. One sit on top of other. And he talked about how identity affects behavior and habits affect identity. And we in the end talked about the real reason habits matter. They matter because they help you become the type of person you wish to be. We covered the summary as well. Now in this video we will talk about how to build better habits in four simple steps. How to build better habits in four simple steps. So there are three sections. Number one, why your brain builds habits. The second one, the science of how habits work, and finally, the four laws of behavior change. Let's talk about the first one. Why your brain builds habits. A habit is a behavior that has been repeated enough times to become automatic. That's a very good point. Although it's a very simple definition, but I think we need to spend a little time on it. A habit is a behavior, it is a behavior that has been repeated enough times to become automatic. So whatever is easier to you now, you were not born with the capability of doing it. It became easier, it became automatic through repetition. That's the thing Brian Tracy talks about. Good habits are hard to form. Good habits are hard to form but easy to live with. Easy to live with. Bad habits are easy to form but hard to live with. So the bad habits we have, they were built through repetition. It could be using phone, playing video games, watching movies, eating junk food. We were not born with those habits. We learned them through repetition. So anything you can do right now with ease, with comfort, it's not because that's easy. Part of the reason is probably because it's easy, but because you have also repeated it a lot of times. So if you want, the problem with good habits is that they are not really hard. They are only hard in the beginning when you have not repeated them. The brain will make anything easy as long as you repeat it. That's the idea. So habit is just an easy behavior, the behavior that became easy through repetition. That's how I would say it. But of course, you can repeat a bad behavior and make it easy. You wouldn't want to do that, right? But that's the double-edged sword aspect of a habit. As habits are created, the level of activity in the brain decreases. You learn to lock in on the cues that predict success and tune out everything else. Hmm. This reminds me of the idea of illusion of choice. You think you are choosing in every moment, but technically you are just repeating your past habits. So you are not actually choosing every single thing you are doing. Your choices are biased. They are biased towards what you had been doing previously. So when your habits are created, the level of activity in the brain decreases. So your brain actually doesn't work that hard once the habits are developed. And then you learn to lock in on the cues that predict success and tune out everything else. So there are some examples. You feel whenever you feel stressed, you get the itch to run. As soon as you walk in the door from work, you grab the video game controller. A choice that once required effort is now automatic. A habit has been created. A habit has been created. Yeah, so one way to Define a habit is that when you can easily choose. I think that's a very good definition. When you can easily choose, then it's a habit. For example, someone who doesn't smoke, if you offer them, they will resist a lot. They will resist a lot. But the first choice will be conscious. After that, and making the choice will become easier. So that's another way of defining habit. When you can easily choose, when you can easily choose a healthy meal over an unhealthy one, if you can easily choose exercise, if you can easily choose to study, those are habits. Habits are mental shortcuts learned from experience. Again, learned from experience. You were not born with habits. In a sense, a habit is just a memory of the steps you previously followed to solve a problem in the past. Whenever the conditions are right, you can draw on this memory and automatically apply the same solution. Yeah, that's a very technical way of saying it, but I, th- I mean, it's correct. A habit is just a memory. That's one more thing. It's a memory of the steps you previously followed to solve a problem in the past. Maybe you solved a problem of boredom. We should also define a problem, but not all problems require solution, I would say, because if you look up on the web, you will find that boredom is a very healthy thing. We should embrace boredom. It's like the resting period of our brain, boredom. But here, boredom can be a problem, so the problem is subjective. It's subjective. So you had a subjective problem, something that you thought was a problem, and you decided to remove it. And when you did, you generated a memory. Now you have a memory. You have the same problem in the present. You will look up that memory to solve it. Now the problem with this memory is that it might not have been an ideal way to solve it, right? In the case of watching movies or smoking, you don't want to do that repeatedly for the rest of your life, but that's the double-edged sword part of a habit. And that's why I think negative behaviors are so bad, because whenever you perform them, now you have a memory. You have the evidence that you perform them. You cannot flesh out your memory. You cannot forget all the bad things you did. Thus, I would say the highest price of performing a negative habit is the memory that you did it. Habits reduce cognitive load and free up mental capacity. So you can allocate your attention to other tasks. Yeah. Habits reduce cognitive load. Of course, anything that's easy doesn't require too much effort. And habits, as we learned, are anything that has become easy through repetition. So habits does not require any hard mental work. And when a habit is formed, you can allocate your resources on somewhere else. Despite their efficiency, some people still wonder what about the still wonder about the benefits of habits. The argument goes like this: will habits make my life dull? Interesting question. Will habits make my life dull? Will good habits make my life dull? I think that would be a question. Have so here's the answer. Habits do not. Habits do not restrict freedom, they create it. In fact, the people who don't have their habits handled are often the ones with the least amount of freedom. Without good health habits, You will always seem to be short on energy. Very good idea. Without good health habits, again, habits, something that became easier, something that is easier to choose. Without good choices about health, you will always be short on energy. Yeah. Good sleeping habits, good eating habits, good exercising habits. If you don't have them, if those things are not easier, sleeping, eating, exercising, if those things are not easy for you, then you will always be tired. Without good learning habits, you will always feel like you are behind the curve. Yeah, if learning doesn't come easy to you, you will always feel lacking. If you are always forced, if you are always being forced to make decisions about simple tasks, when should I work out? Where should I study? Then you have less time for freedom. It's only by making the fundamentals of life easier that you can create the mental space needed for free thinking and creativity. Yeah, if your personal life is handled through good habits, only then you can pursue your career or your goals. If those things are requiring too much effort, they are not habits, then that's what you will be thinking about all day long. So I guess this is it for this video, and I like this part, a choice that required one's effort is now automatic. So I'm gonna highlight that. I'm gonna highlight that. Can I not make a comment on just one part? Can I? Yep, I can. Another way to look at habit is how easy is it to choose it? Can you go to sleep without finishing work? Then you have developed a habit of a habit of what? A habit of not being disciplined. Okay, let me edit that. Edit. If you can easily choose cola over water, then you have developed an unhealthy habit. If you choose to go to workout despite not feeling it, then you have developed a good habit. So now, from now on, you should look inside and see what things are easy for me to choose. What things are easy for me to choose? Is it easy to just open YouTube and watch a bunch of videos? Then you have a bad habit of wasting time. I guess this is it for this video, the first video of chapter 3, and moving on, we'll talk about more parts. And the rest of the chapter